Hi everyone, it's Ginny. I'm back again now to do another collage and chat to you while I do that. So I'll go to the page where I've got some already cut out pieces here, and I've because this is a magazine about shoes, so I've just put some other pages in as a background, and then I'll stick all these down in no particular order, just have a bit of fun with it, see how it goes. I'll just have a look at what I've got. Got some owls. Of course there has to be birds in there because I love birds so much. Lady with a cat. A ship. Lots of bits and pieces, odd things. So, let's see if I've got any larger ones. I might start with larger bits first. There's a watch, which is rather nice. And a lady. She was in the back of the magazine, I think, where they were talking about horoscopes, I think, I'm not sure. There's a clock. I'll put that up there. I'll just do a rough guess at where I'm going to put things. So yeah, you'll have to excuse if you hear Bandit coughing. I'll have to keep an eye on him because he's not well, and I might have to stop and take care of him. But at the moment he's snuggled up. I'll just tuck his blanket over him. Here. Boy, oh, what did you do? You got tangled up. Let me just put the blanket on you. There you go. Oh, sorry, don't cough. Sweet boy. Oh dear. Yeah, it's a bitterly cold winter's day, and I'm trying to keep warm by staying in this room because it's slightly warmer in here. I'm not running the heating all the time because it's so expensive. But I just sort of give it a quick blast to warm up and then trap the heat in here by closing the door. Oh, I don't know what I'm doing. It's just, I know with other pages I didn't really plan them out. I just sorry, I'm moving my legs. Try and get more comfortable. I think I'll just put stuff down and see what happens. And so I don't know how I'm going to go with the glue sticks because I don't have terribly much left in these two here. I thought I had a full one, but obviously I've used it. So I may have to transfer to wet glue if these run out. Just heard a bird singing, and it's been really quiet today. It's been really windy and it's just a horrible day. It's really cold. There. Now I put that too high for him to sit on, have I? Oh, I wanted him to sit on there at least. Luckily I've got a bit of time to move this. Yeah, so I was saying about Bandit, I just got to keep an eye on him, and if he gets too bad or distressed with his coughing, I'll have to stop and take care of him. Just realised I've got a bit here I didn't cut off. So, chatting. As you know, I was very unwell for a very long time, and of course that took a lot of getting over, but I'm alright now. I'm much better than I was. I still got a few little issues, but nothing too bad. I don't really know what to tell you. It's just, yeah, that I had another bleed in my brain, and like what happens whenever that happens, I end up getting very, very tired, for one thing. I sleep a lot. I get very, very dizzy, nauseous, head pain. My balance gets worse than it is now. A lot of horrible symptoms, and just feeling really, really lousy. So a lot of bed rest and waiting for things to settle down. And then after that start physiotherapy and trying to get back on track again. It's a really lengthy process. It takes a long time to recover. It's pretty much a stroke, really, that it's a hemorrhagic stroke that happens, rather than a stroke where you get a blood clot or something and it stops the blood flow. My problem is the blood flows too easily. So yeah, that's what has been going on. But yeah, I've bounced back quite well now. And let's find something to sit on his hand. What can he be holding? Oh, a little worm. I don't know, maybe something else. Let's have a look. So yeah, long time recovering. Like I said, I also got severely depressed. And I know a lot of you that I watch also suffer from depression, so you know pretty much what that's like. I'm fortunate enough that I don't get it too often, but I do have depression. Mostly in reaction to things that have gone on in my life, rather than a regular thing that, yeah, I don't know what I'm saying. Hopefully you understand what I mean. So that's taken a long time to work through as well. I did recognise when I was in the really bad state where I was having suicidal thoughts and, yeah, not wanting to get out of bed, and just had no interest in doing anything at all. It was just really awful. Sorry, I'm still looking for something to have this guy holding. Cat, maybe? Can he be holding a cat? Yes. I'll just find my tweezers. Let's switch that back on. I think this is going to take quite a while. I get a bit anxious about taking too long, but hopefully you understand I'm quite slow at things still. I feel like I'm really rushing at the moment. Just now I've forgotten what I was saying. Oh gosh. Yeah, my memory is affected. It's really worse than it was. A part of that, of course, is just natural aging, where we all sort of lose a certain amount of memory and lose our words when we're trying to talk. The worm on his shoulder, maybe. I want to cover up this number 7, so I need something to go up there. Maybe this bird. Yeah, can have a bird there. Yeah, so I I just remembered now that I was saying how bad I was, but I did recognise that I needed to get up and do something about it, rather than just keep wallowing in that state. And you know, it scared me that I might actually do something, and I wanted to put a stop to that. But the main thing is, really, I am pretty strong-willed in the sense that I don't think I really would go ahead with ending my life. Sorry, this is a bit of a depressing topic. I hope you don't mind me talking about it. But I just wanted to explain, you know, what I've been going through and why I was absent for so long. So anyway, I am pretty sure that I never would actually do anything, because I could not do that to my family, to my kids in particular. I think that's just awful to, you know, do that to your kids. Leave them behind wondering why and what they did or didn't do, and yeah, it's awful. So I got myself up, went to the doctor, asked for a referral to see a psychologist, and started seeing a fantastic woman who is really helping me a lot with a lot of issues that I have and needed to work through. So where's this sheep going? I think this man's going to be surrounded by animals. It's a bit of a funny pretend sheep. Now that's stuck there. So yeah, I have improved an awful lot. I'm in a much better frame of mind. I am on antidepressants, of course, which help, but I don't want to be on them forever. And needed too many times. Totally lost my train of thought. Hopefully it'll come back. I've got a cloth here. I'll just wipe these tweezers because they've got glue all over them. Yeah, sorry, I've got lost what I was saying. So let's put him here. I've just got to lift that duck up now. Oh, I think I've gone too, oh no, there. So what else? Yeah, just I'm working through stuff with my psychologist. I'm doing a lot better, much better frame of mind, much happier, and life is pretty good, and I'm almost fully recovered from the physical stuff and the emotional stuff as well. So that's good. And now I'm able to get back to crafting and enjoying it, because for a really long time I just wasn't interested. I just had no desire whatsoever to even do anything, look at anything, watch any videos. And a lot of the time too I was feeling too sick anyway, so I just gave it a miss for ages. But yeah, it's good to be back now and doing stuff and really enjoying it, and really enjoying watching videos now and getting inspiration from people, which is great. And I noticed that a lot of people are doing the 100 Things Challenge, which I've decided I'm going to start doing too. Although I have already started doing something, but I'm not at a stage where I can show you yet, because I'm so slow. It's going to take me ages. I'm thinking it's going to take me 100 years to get the 100 things done. But in case you don't know about it, although I don't see why you wouldn't, everyone seems to be doing it now. There's a fabulous lady named Rebecca. She calls herself Crazy Rebecca. And her YouTube channel is Dances with Pit Bulls. And I found her through a couple of people's videos of them showing what they've been doing with their challenge and talking about Rebecca and her, you know, how she set the challenge up, how she started on it herself. So I went over and had a look, and I just got so hooked on her videos I couldn't stop watching them. They're fantastic. She has an awesome sense of humour. She really makes me laugh, and I really enjoy watching her. I'll leave a link to her channel, in particular the 100 Things Challenge, in case you don't know about it and you might be interested. I'll leave that in the description box below. Where am I going with this guy? Yes, I've been enjoying watching what people are doing. Do we need a couch floating in the midair? Why not? Let's put the cat down here first. Let's see what else we can do. I think I want that cat there sitting pretty on a throne with a crown on her head. So yeah, yeah, really enjoying doing crafting again, and things are good. So other things that have been happening are back on March 15th this year we lost our beautiful boy Clyde. He's no longer with us, and that was just absolutely heartbreaking, which was, you know, probably compounded my depression. I can talk about it now, but for a long time I just couldn't, because I would just cry and got cut off. Oh, I have to get up and turn that back on. Yeah, I was just saying, you know, just cry and cry. What happened with him is, if you remember, he had that tumour in his belly, which, although it was slow, it did grow, and it got really, really large. And so we had him back to the vet a few times. He had other problems as well, particularly he still had a reasonable appetite, but he wasn't digesting his food properly, and he had really bad diarrhea, and then there was lots and lots of blood in it, and we got really concerned and rushed him to the vet, and they did tests and they put him on medication for it. It settled down, but then it came back again. And one of the visits to the vet, he told us that the type of cancer that he had actually spread, and the problem there is that originally when he was diagnosed, the vet told us, I might just cover that up, the vet told us that the cancerous tumour wouldn't spread, that it would stay contained in that one area, although it would grow. It wouldn't spread outside of that sort of capsule. And unfortunately, because there are two types, it was a very rare cancer that he had, and there are two types. There's the one that spreads and the one that doesn't, and unfortunately it's really hard to tell which type they have in the beginning, and it's not until they get sicker and sicker and it does spread that they realise that it's the spreading type. So really awful. We sort of, you know, came to realise we were going to lose Clyde a lot sooner than we were expecting. And we were warned that you know, if it hadn't already, it was going to spread into his lungs and his heart and would eventually finish him off. So we kept him on the medication and watched him, looked after him as best we could. And he wasn't too bad, but then one day he just suddenly went downhill really quickly, and his breathing became really laboured and he was just miserable. It was awful, and I kind of knew, you know, that it was his time and that we couldn't let him suffer. So my daughter and I, because originally Clyde was my daughter's dog, but when she left home she didn't take him with her, so he kind of became the family dog. Let's put that dog there. Speaking of dogs, he can sit on the couch. Yeah, so that was really, really tough. We knew we were doing the right thing because we didn't want him to suffer any more than he already was. But yeah, I'm glad Bandit's asleep. I sometimes feel awful talking about that stuff in front of him. I know dogs can't understand, but sometimes you think, oh, just in case. He's sleeping peacefully right now, which is really good. I don't know if I want that there. Yeah, so the vet was fantastic, and he told us, my daughter hadn't been through that before about having a dog euthanized, so he explained everything in great detail about what was going to happen, and it just made it a lot easier for her to cope. And yeah, we were with him right through to the end, and even after he slipped away, the vet left us in the room for as long as we wanted, and we just stayed in there and cried and patted him and talked, and yeah. If you've lost a pet yourself, you know what it's like. It's really bittersweet because you know that, you know, it's the kind thing to do. So that was that. Really tough to leave without him, of course, and came home, had more crying and grieving for him, and worried sick about how Bandit was going to cope with it. And the vet told us that he would grieve himself probably and really miss him for about 3 weeks, and then he should sort of bounce back and forget him and he'll be okay. And that was the case in the sense of him grieving for 3 weeks. He was just really, really depressed. He didn't want to do anything but just lie and stare into space, and he just looked so sad. And so I just snuggled with him and comforted him, and he was comforting me because I was grieving for Clyde as well. And yeah, it was tough. I love Clyde so much and really miss him. Even now, it's been 4 months. The thing with Bandit though is that he hasn't forgotten. He still remembers him. The thing he used to do in the past was when they were outside. They have 2 kennels, but they always snuggled together in one kennel. And quite often Bandit would go into one and start barking and calling for Clyde because he wanted him to come and snuggle up with him and keep him warm. And even now, if I go outside with him, he'll go into the kennel and start calling for Clyde. And it's just heartbreaking to watch him, but what was even more distressing recently was I was cleaning and I pulled out an old toy that belonged to Clyde from under the bed that I didn't realise was under there, and it still had his smell on it, and as soon as Bandit caught that scent, he went crazy. He got really anxious and excited because he thought that Clyde was here, and he ran around barking like crazy, really excitedly, back and forth to the front and back doors. He ran out into the yard and he was looking for him, and I just stood there with tears streaming down my face because I just thought, I can't explain to him that he's not coming back, and he was trying to find him. It was so sad. And he's done that a couple of times now. I don't know what sort of sets him off, but he hears another dog or he smells something that reminds him, and he'll do the same thing, and he'll run around, he'll run around looking for him. And yeah, it's amazing that he still remembers after all this time, and he wants his best buddy to come back. Well, I'll go on about Bandit a bit more in a minute, but I'll finish talking about what happened with Clyde. Is that we had him cremated, and we've got his ashes in a really beautiful wooden decorative box, and with his photos of him around it. And also my daughter and I got a silver heart locket that's solid and sealed, and inside are some of Clyde's ashes, and we wear that around our neck, you know, like a little piece of him is close to our heart. And yeah, I just love that we've got that, you know. I'm a very sentimental person, and so is my daughter, so we couldn't not get that when we saw it. Because what happened was the vet nurse came into the room while we were still with Clyde after he'd gone, and she gave us a brochure showing us about what our options were for having him either buried or cremated and all the rest of it. And that's what we decided to go with in the end. And really glad that we did it, because yeah, rather than having a grave to have to go and visit, which is difficult for me, I'd rather have him here at home with us. So yeah, that's what we did. Just trying a few things here. This is probably going to take a really long time, and I may have to split this video into parts because I know I'm not going to get it all done. You know, in a short video. There's a lady with a worm tail and she's got a little worm farm. That was an advert for worm farms for sale. So yeah, that's what happened with Clyde, and really sad. So then what happened with Bandit is, oh, that hat won't fit there, will it? It's too big. Cover his face. I could have it like that going off the page, and then it covers the cat. No, I'm not going to do that then. I'll do something else. About a week after Clyde passed, Bandit started this cough, and I just thought that he might have picked up a little bit of kennel cough or something. And I even looked up the symptoms online, and the symptoms that he was having were correct for kennel cough. So I thought, okay, I need to get him to the vet, get him on some antibiotics, and he'll be okay. So we went to the vet, and she said that no, it couldn't be kennel cough because he would have needed to have spent time in amongst lots of other dogs to have caught that. I don't know where I'm going with this next. What am I going to put where? Let's start over here and I'll come back to that side. Yeah, so the vet said no, it's not kennel cough, and it's possibly due to a heart problem. So we thought, oh dear. And she said she wanted to run some tests, and in particular to do an x-ray on his chest to see how his heart is. And so we of course agreed to have that done, and she went and did it there and then, and we waited for about 40 minutes. That was a bit distressful because she said, I'll be about 10 minutes and I'll be back, and she took him off down the back of the vet clinic, and my son had driven me up there, so we were both in the little room where you take your pet to see the vet, and we were waiting and waiting and thinking, oh gosh, what's going on, what has she found? And you know, you start worrying about it. And then she came back and she said, unfortunately they found that he has a large mass in his trachea, which is the breathing airway, just before it goes into his lungs, and that's what's causing the cough. And she wanted to do more tests and blood tests and the whole works to find out exactly what it was and whether it was cancer, but those tests were extremely expensive, and we didn't really see the point, given that he's so old already. What's the point of spending a lot of money finding out yes or no whether he could likely die of that when he could likely die of something else in between? So we just thought, let's give him whatever medicine and treatments that are possible. I suppose I should explain that we asked the vet, you know, what is it likely to be, and she said, looking at it and in her experience, it is more than likely to be cancer. So we decided to not go ahead with the tests and just put the money into giving him whatever treatment to keep him comfortable for as long as possible. So that's what we've been doing. He's on a lot of medication, tablets that are very expensive, but you know, I'd rather put the money into that, keeping him comfortable, than spending money on tests and then not having enough money to spend on keeping him comfortable. So that's what we're doing. That was 4 months ago. Each time we go back to get more tablets for him or to have a checkup, they keep saying to us, you do realise you don't have much longer left with him? And I'm like, yes, we realise. We're just making the most of the time we do have left with him. For the last 4 months, the medication really helped with his cough, and he barely coughed at all during the day and a little bit at night. But unfortunately, just in the last week, his cough has gotten quite a bit worse, and I'm worried, of course, that it's going to get worse and worse and worse until it's distressing him, and yeah, I don't want him to suffer, so of course we'll have to do the inevitable. I just checked he's still sleeping, but I don't want to actually say what's going to happen in front of him. I know that's a bit silly, but I can't help it. I'm sentimental. So yeah, that's what's going on with a beautiful boy, and he's 16 already, and yeah, they said that ordinarily they could, if he was a younger, healthier dog, they could do exploratory surgery and remove the mass and give him chemotherapy or whatever, but they said his age, he's not going to cope with an anaesthetic, and it's, you know, there's no point really. So like I said before, it's about keeping him as comfortable as we can and giving him as much of a good quality of life for as long as possible. And so far he's generally in pretty good spirits. He's still really enjoying his food, and surprisingly he put on weight over the last month. He's gained, he was 21.6 kilos, and then a month later, or now, he is 22.8, so that's really amazing. The vet was even surprised, but you know, they say that's great as long as he's still enjoying his food and you know, enjoying his life. Let him keep going. So that's where that's at. Sometimes his cough does get really bad and he can't stop, and he'll go on for ages and ages, and yeah, that's a real worry. I just lie with him and stroke him and try and comfort him through it, and thankfully it does eventually stop and he'll go off to sleep or just rest. He is sleeping a lot now, but he was already, just because of his age, you know, older dogs do sleep a fair bit. So yeah, but I have him with me all the time just to comfort him, and he's comforting me too, you know. I love having him right beside me. Sometimes it's really hard to do crafting because he wants to snuggle up to me and he wants one of my hands on him at all times. So sometimes I even do things very slowly with one hand while I'm stroking him. But yeah, I keep saying to myself, you know, he's not annoying at all. I love it. I love the time that I've got with him now, and I want to make the most of every second. Because yeah, I'm going to miss him extremely after you know what happens. So yeah, that's what's been going on. It's I've been through a lot in the last 5 months, and there's other stuff too, but I don't want to go into that because it's very personal. But yeah, I've been through a pretty tough time, and I'm happy to say that I'm doing better now and things are looking better for me. So that's that. Now I wanted to tuck something under there. What about a flower? So Bandit still really enjoys the company of other dogs, and he'll like to, oops, I just ripped that. One of his favourite things to do is to go to the letterbox with me. We go out the front door and head towards the front gate where the letterbox is, and he just loves to stand there by the gate and watch people go by, and if another dog goes by he gets really excited to see it and wags his tail, and then as the dog moves away off down the street he starts crying because he wants them to come back. It's a little bit sad but sweet as well, you know. He's such a friendly dog. He loves people and other dogs, and he doesn't really have a nasty bone in his body, as you could say. He's a really gentle, loving boy. He used to be, when Clyde was around, he used to be quite a jealous dog, and there was a bit of competition. He had to be. He was like, I guess, a jealous sibling, you know. He was jealous that his brother might get something better than him, and so he'd always sort of push in front of Clyde, and if you gave them treats he would kind of snatch it out of your hand because he wanted to get it first before Clyde got it. And now he's completely different. That competition has gone away, and he's just so gentle. He never snatches anything out of my hands anymore, and he's just so placid, and he's just beautiful. It's like he's had a personality upgrade. Yeah, it's lovely. I'm really enjoying the gentler side of him. And I guess because he's older too, he's mellowed a lot. What about that? Pussycats and that down there. Gosh, I don't know where I'm going with this. It's all over the place. What about this birdie? Can he sit on her head? I like sitting things on people's heads. And that hat, could she be wearing that hat? I reckon she could. Let's do that. Oops, is that the wrong side? That is the wrong side. Oh no! Put the glue on the right side. Oh, lumpy bits of glue going everywhere. What's the time? Oh, it's 20 to 5. Gosh. You know, I'm a bit naughty because I forgot to have lunch today. I'm just busy trying to tidy up and sort things out, and taking care of Bandit as well, because the difficulty with him is that he doesn't like taking tablets, and I have to find new and different ways to trick him into taking them, because, you know, I was hiding them in treats, and then he kind of cottoned on to what I was doing, and he would stop taking the treats, and so then we got him some other type of food and tried that, and that worked for a while until he figured that out. And then I tried peanut butter, and now he doesn't want to have peanut butter anymore. And I hate doing it, but I have to end up forcing him to take them, because they are helping him quite a lot, and he really needs, you know, those tablets. But he also, gosh, that went by fast. Oh, talking away and the camera switches off. So I was saying about Bandit's medication, yeah, he really needs to take it because it's helping him, so I have to all the time try and find ways. Oh no, that's what I was going to say. He has to have them with food, so I figured out just yesterday, and I did it again this morning, is to try and get him to eat whatever I can get him to take an interest in, and then after he's eaten, so he's got food in his tummy, and then I'll give him the tablets and try and stick them down the back of his throat. And yeah, I hate doing it, but I do it as gently as I can. So yeah, that's poor old Bandit. Okay, what am I going to do next? I've got a couple of cups, a clock. I want something colourful here because it's really dark.